I'm a gymnastics coach. I work in an upbeat, chaotic environment where everyone's always having fun. Kids are telling you stories about how they're going on playdates with their friends this weekend and how their siblings are terrible drivers. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a child says, "I hate the color of my skin. I wish I was white." What goes through your mind? This was something I experienced early on in my career. When a little girl who's only around the age of 8 told me that she wanted to change her skin tone to being white, I froze. I was in shock. The only thing running through my mind was that I needed to help her change her thinking. It hurt me to see that a girl that young was experiencing thoughts like that. I didn't expect something like that to go through one of my athletes' minds. In my mind, Amara was an innocent girl. She was bubbly, carefree, and confident. Why would she want to change such an important part of her identity just to fit in and feel accepted? Colonialism is when a group of people gain power, economic dominance, and control over the land and resources of another country with serious social and cultural impacts. It has created societal standards that center Europeans and disregard everyone else. One outcome of colonialism is colorism. Researchers at Wayne State University stated that colorism is a product of racism and a form of discrimination where lighter skin is favored over darker skin. It stems from different scenarios for each individual culture. In the USA, it has its roots in slavery and racial politics. They used to do something known as the bag test to differentiate slaves, basically holding up a paper bag to someone's skin and sorting them based on their color. The darker you were, the harder you worked. With people of Mexican descent, their racial identities were erased, contributing to the colorblind phenomenon in Latino culture. For South Asians, British colonialism is what set off colorism. When they colonized India, they kept the caste system, but also sorted people by cultural difference and skin color. Once again, the darker you were, the harder your job, and all of society looked down on you. A great example of the modern impact is the cosmetics industry and the wide use of skin lightening cream, pushing mostly women to aspire for light skin, without regard to the detrimental impact on the self-esteem of young girls. The foundation of Canadian society is constructed on a lot of these standards. Girls like Amara are growing up in a world where they did not create The foundation of Canadian society is constructed on a lot of these standards. Girls like Amara are growing up in a world they did not create and are inheriting a context where they are not valued. They see people of color being treated differently, seeing themselves as different or outcasts who are not valued. Thoughts like this can cloud their minds, convincing themselves that they need to change to fit in. For youth like this, representation matters. The documentary Misrepresentation shares that you can't be what you can't see. A lack of representation exists in areas that we might not notice. For example, we can see it in kids' toys, films and cartoons, the fashion industry, and children's books. It reinforces stereotypes, leading children to believe that they are true. How does growing up in a world where you're not seen or accepted impact you? For a little girl, it influences the way that she understands herself and what she thinks she can accomplish in this lifetime. In Amara's case, she was starting to feel unworthy and might have been hearing things in her home life or seeing things in her school life to make her feel unvalued. In her TED Talk, Carol Dweck explained how girls outperform boys at all levels of education, but when they go out into the real world, they earn substantially less and have less important roles. This drastic change in success and value can be detrimental to a girl's confidence. Education reporter Hannah Richardson states that the inner critic all women have impacts us way more than we might think. Having this sort of bubble of negative energy around and in a young girl's mind all the time can start to make her feel alone. According to Wayne State University, a study conducted by Alvarez in 2019, an interviewer talked about how families making comments on a baby's skin tone was quite common as soon as they came out of the womb. Growing up hearing negative comments and jokes made toward your skin tone can damage your self-esteem. Another interviewer said that because of colorism and the issue of racial identity, it has now made it almost impossible for different communities to unlearn stereotypes that have been embedded within their own cultures. Girls are half of humanity. It's important that they feel confident in themselves. According to Katty Kay and Claire Shipman, the authors of the books, The Confidence Code for Girls, confidence drops 30% between the ages of 8 to 14 years old in a girl. 3 in 4 girls worry about failing, and more than half of teen girls feel pressure to be perfect. These 3 things can all occur because of what young girls see in media. Social media has amped up the pressure to be perfect. because girls are constantly comparing themselves to photoshopped, airbrushed images of perfection. A lack of representation hurts self-confidence. Reassurance gives us confidence, but I think we need to learn to spark this confidence from within us instead. Media has shown us what is considered the right look. I believe that anything can be considered the right look as long as confidence follows it. We need to help these young girls understand that so they can not only thrive in the education system, but outside of it as well. I wanted to show Amara, as someone who looks like her, that she has the power to feel good about herself, that she is beautiful regardless of what anyone else says, that her mind is equally as beautiful as her, and that she can do anything she puts her mind to. I wanted her to know that she is loved, and that I would be there to remind her of that whenever she needed. And that is exactly what I told her, along with the rest of the girls in that gymnastics group that day. After having that interaction with Amara, I hope that my words paved a path for her to see that there is more to her than just the color of her skin. I hope that she saw me as a figure of representation, and that if I was saying those things about her, then she could believe them too. Every single person here today has the power to be a role model for someone else. Whether you're a sibling, a coach, a parent, or a teacher, it's important to realize that the things that you do and the things that you say affect the younger generation and how their mindsets are going to develop. Fast forward to a few weeks later. Amara was back in my class for one more day. We were going through our events like normal. We were on the bars and I was helping her with one of her skills. And she told me that I was like a big sister to her. Hearing her say that warmed my heart because it gave me a sense of relief. I felt like the message I tried conveying to her the week before had finally got through to her, and that she was starting to realize her self-worth. I learned that creating a space for children where they feel represented, like they belong and confident, is extremely important for their mental health. And we need to strive to achieve this as a society. You may be wondering, though, how do we create this world for these young girls? Poet laureate Amanda Gorman said, "There is always light. If only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it." To create light in young girls' lives, we can start with the small things. Think about the language you're using around these kids. Focus in on giving them positive, supportive comments. Showing them movies and reading them books whose main characters look like them. And when you can, do more. If you're a coach, listen actively to your athletes and be empathetic. If you're a filmmaker, cast all different kinds of people to show the younger generation that they are represented. And if you're in the fashion industry, make sure you're taking photos of all the beautiful women in the world and not only the ones that we've been taught to think are beautiful. If we take these small steps, girls like Amara will learn to follow their passions and not be afraid of failure or trying new things. Thank you.